Previously, Fang Yuan seized the Red Iron Relic Gu and pushed his cultivation to the next stage. Now, he ventures deeper into the Flower Wine Monk's hidden inheritance. Battles the invisible Stone Monkey King, obtains the hidden Stone Gu, and faces the terrifying river-swallowing toad. With bitter wine finally in his hands, he refines the 4 flavors liquor worm and raises his strength once again. But as winter descends on Qing Mao Mountain, the first shadows of the wolf tide begin to fall. Let us continue with Reverend Insanity, Episode 12. The transparent light membrane shimmered around a pale red sea of primeval essence. Waves rose and died, tides swelling and falling within the aperture. On the surface of that sea, 2 plump white liquor worms were drinking from the water. Above them, the black boar Gu, like a black ladybird, circled around the suspended red steel relic Gu, constantly beating its wings as it flew. The white jade Gu lay like a pebble sunk deep beneath the sea, utterly motionless. The spring-autumn cicada kept itself hidden, still sleeping soundly as it recuperated just as before. It is time. Fang Yuan moved his thought. The sea surged, and a stream of primeval essence rushed upward, pouring straight into the red steel relic Gu. The red steel relic Gu immediately swayed and flew up, releasing a blazing red radiance. Before long, the relic Gu was like a rising sun, its glow shining over the entire wall of the aperture. That radiance burned like fire and dazzled like blades. The black boar Gu quickly could not endure it. With a plop, it dove into the primeval essence sea. The 2 liquor worms did not sink down. The white jade Gu flickered faintly beneath the seabed. If Fang Yuan followed the ordinary method, then to advance to rank 2 middle stage, he could only grind away with waters, continually urging his pale red primeval essence to scour the surrounding aperture walls. But now, the red steel relic Gu burst forth with a brilliant scarlet light, vast and majestic, replacing the pale red primeval essence and pouring directly into the surrounding aperture walls. The effect was astonishing. Under Fang Yuan's close watch, the entire light membrane thickened at a speed visible to the naked eye. The light on the membrane condensed into flowing streams. At last, the light membrane gradually became a water membrane. Ripples of light flowed over it without pause, brightening and dimming in turn. At this moment, Fang Yuan had advanced to middle stage. Yet the relic Gu was still releasing its red radiance. Brilliant rays filled the aperture. They replaced his primeval essence, continuously pouring the essence and energy within the Gu into Fang Yuan's aperture. The water membrane accepted it all. The light waves on its surface swayed like water, flowing more and more smoothly. This process lasted for around a quarter of an hour. The energy inside the red steel relic Gu was completely exhausted. Its body turned translucent, then vanished entirely within the red light. The instant it disappeared, the burning red radiance also dispersed. The aperture returned to its former peaceful state. Only the water membrane had become much thicker. This red steel relic Gu had saved Fang Yuan a tremendous amount of time and effort. A strand of deep red primeval essence appeared within the primeval sea. This was rank 2 middle stage primeval essence. Compared with the pale red essence of the initial stage, it was more condensed, sinking deeper into the sea and circling near the white jade Gu. The red steel relic Gu could directly strengthen the foundation of the aperture. For a Gu master, its manifested effect was to raise cultivation by 1 small stage. Naturally, the earlier this type of Gu worm was used, the better. The higher a Gu master's cultivation, the stronger their battle strength and the higher their chance of survival. At the same time, they could complete more missions and earn more primeval stones. No matter which angle one looked at it from, it had a positive influence. After reaching middle stage, Fang Yuan took out several primeval stones and swiftly replenished his primeval essence. Only when the entire primeval essence sea in his aperture had reached 44%, with fresh red middle stage primeval essence did he stop. Half an hour later, he stepped into the stone forest again, going deep toward the central region. The moment he took 1 step into the monkey's warning boundary, a furious pack of jade-eyed stone monkeys immediately emerged from the stone pillars. They shrieked and lunged toward Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's expression did not change. Most of his attention was fixed on the stone hollow at the very top. ordinary jade-eyed stone monkeys were nothing to fear as long as he did not fall into their encirclement. The crux of the problem lay with this stone monkey king. Just what Gu worm was living on its body? Even Fang Yuan could not guess that. Fang Yuan slowly retreated while observing carefully, but this stone monkey king never showed itself. Fang Yuan secretly found it strange. Could it be that this monkey pack has no monkey king? If there were a monkey king, then with its home being invaded like this, it should have rushed out first. Wait, or has it already come out? The thought had just emerged when the spring-autumn cicada, which had been sleeping within his aperture, suddenly appeared. Its body trembled without pause, and it gave a faint, feeble cry, as if responding to the alarm in Fang Yuan's heart. The vital Gu was warning him. This phenomenon would only occur when the vital Gu sensed that the Gu Master's life was under intense threat. In that instant, the hairs on Fang Yuan's body stood on end. Without thinking, he instinctively urged the white jade Gu with all his strength. A white jade glow enveloped his entire body. At the next moment, a stone monkey king 3 times larger than the ordinary stone monkeys abruptly appeared at Fang Yuan's left side. Its sharp claws struck at his left shoulder. With a heavy thud, the stone monkey king's attack was blocked by the white jade Gu's defense and returned without success. In the instant he was attacked, the white jade Gu inside Fang Yuan's aperture suddenly lit up, absorbing more than half a portion of fresh red primeval essence at once. If this had been Fang Yuan at rank 2 initial stage, that would have consumed almost a full 10% of his pale red primeval essence. From this alone, one could see how sinister and vicious the stone monkey king's ambush had been. Even Fang Yuan, calm by nature, could not help breaking out in cold sweat at this moment. If he had not spent these past days bitterly tempering himself, sharpening his condition to its best combat state, he might truly have died at the stone monkey king's hands. Had his reaction been even a little slower just now, Fang Yuan's left shoulder would certainly have been destroyed, and his entire left arm would have become useless. His fate would have been as miserable as Gu Yue Man's not long ago. There is actually a wild Gu worm on the stone monkey king that can turn it invisible. Fang Yuan quickly retreated. He had no Gu worm that could detect invisibility, and he instantly fell into a disadvantage. This stone monkey king seemed even more cunning than ordinary stone monkeys. After failing its first strike, it continued to conceal itself, hiding somewhere unknown. Without question, this brought Fang Yuan immense psychological pressure. He urged the white jade Gu, forming a defense over his entire body. Every moment it was consuming primeval essence. He could not maintain it forever. Even when he had been fighting among the stone monkey packs, he only activated the white jade Gu at crucial moments for defense. If he maintained this state continuously, then before long his primeval essence would be almost completely exhausted. More than 500 stone monkeys charged over in a surging mass and surrounded Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did his utmost to retreat at top speed, widening the distance. The momentum of some of the stone monkeys gradually weakened. A few suddenly turned back, looking toward their homes. GRRK. At that moment, the jade-eyed stone monkey king appeared again and issued a loud command. GRRK, GRRK. The monkey pack immediately responded. Their confusion and hesitation vanished, and they began pursuing Fang Yuan once more. Seeing more than 500 jade-eyed stone monkeys tirelessly chasing him, Fang Yuan did not panic. Instead, a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This turn of events had long been within his expectations. He had gone deep into the heart of the stone forest by choosing only the easiest route, opening a single path. Around that path still existed a large number of stone monkey packs. To Fang Yuan, this path was extremely familiar. But how could these monkeys, whose intelligence was low, know it? Under the incitement of the stone monkey king, the stone monkey pack charged wildly through the stone forest, clearly trespassing into the warning boundaries of other monkey packs. Very quickly, they provoked the counterattacks of those packs. The stone forest fell into chaos. Countless jade-eyed stone monkeys stood on the side of defending their own homes and began slaughtering one another. If given several more decades, this stone monkey king might possibly have developed into a 1,000-beast king. fully capable of unifying the whole stone forest. But right now it was only 100 Beast King. It still had no ability to control so many stone monkeys. Different stone monkey packs sank into a chaotic battle. For a time, Fang Yuan's ears were filled entirely with the monkeys' shrill, confused cries. The more than 500 stone monkeys chasing him were quickly entangled by other stone monkey packs. But the Stone Monkey King kept pursuing Fang Yuan without letting go. Fang Yuan fought as he retreated. During this period, the Stone Monkey King ambushed him several times, and each strike caused him to lose a large amount of primeval essence. Fortunately, before coming here, he had advanced to middle stage. Otherwise, with only that little initial stage primeval essence, how could he have endured such consumption? Fang Yuan had fallen entirely into an absolute disadvantage. He could not grasp any opening from the Stone Monkey King. The only chance to counterattack was the instant the Stone Monkey King attacked. But even when Fang Yuan could react, he had no time to make a counterattack. The Stone Monkey King had an invisibility Gu worm and held the initiative firmly. It could attack Fang Yuan whenever it wished. Even if Fang Yuan wounded it, it could use the invisibility Gu worm to flee safely. It could be said to already be in an undefeatable position. I have no Gu worm that can break invisibility, so my chances of winning this battle are extremely small. If I had a wide-range attack method, perhaps I could try once, but the Moonlight Gu. Unless I get lucky and happen to hit the Stone Monkey King, the possibility is truly too small. Fang Yuan saw through the situation and immediately retreated. But the Stone Monkey King seemed to have made up its mind. It was determined to kill him. Fang Yuan retreated to a distance of 100 steps from the stone door, then suddenly stopped. My primeval essence has only a little more than 10% left. At a distance of 100 steps, I absolutely cannot hold out. Even if I enter the second secret chamber and shut the stone door, this Stone Monkey King can break through it. Fang Yuan had originally thought that, after chasing him for such a long distance, the Stone Monkey King would eventually give up. But he had not expected it to be so stubborn. At this moment, he had already retreated out of the stone forest. Around him was an open stretch of ground. Countless stone monkeys were fighting chaotically in the stone forest. The air boiled with commotion, and the noise they made was extremely clamorous, echoing through this underground mountain space. Fang Yuan did not move any farther. His battle intuition told him that the Stone Monkey King was hiding somewhere, waiting for him to reveal an opening, then unleash a fatal blow. Fang Yuan knew that he had been pushed into a dead end. If it were an ordinary rank 2 Gu master, they might have collapsed by now, unable to bear this invisible pressure. But Fang Yuan remained as calm as before. This situation was also within his calculations, only its probability had been extremely low. Logically, the Stone Monkey King should also possess the habits of stone monkeys and be attached to its home. But for some unknown reason, this Stone Monkey King kept chasing him, unwilling to stop until Fang Yuan was dead. If I chose to take a risk, then I must have the awareness to pay with my life. Fang Yuan began taking off his upper garment, his gaze cold. With the 11% primeval essence I have, I can either use 2 Moonblades or block 2 ambushes from the Stone Monkey King. Relying only on the Moonlight Gu or the White Jade Gu is impossible. The only chance is the moment the Stone Monkey King attacks. I must seize that timing and release a Moonblade to kill it. Fang Yuan's thoughts moved like lightning, and he devised the best tactic for this moment. Stone monkeys did not possess remarkable defense. Since the Stone Monkey King had chosen an ambush method of attack, it also revealed in another sense its own weakness in defense. A single Moonblade could instantly kill 5 or 6 jade-eyed stone monkeys. Even if it could not kill the Stone Monkey King, it could heavily injure it. But one must not think this would be easy. Achieving it was extremely difficult. Even if an entire Gu master group came here. If they had no Gu worm that could investigate and break concealment, they would still suffer a bitter defeat on the spot. This cunning monkey has been attacking repeatedly to wait until my primeval essence is exhausted. Fine. I will trust the spring-autumn cicada this time and gamble once. Fang Yuan decided in an instant, a cold light flashing in his eyes. He stood in place, both hands lowered, clutching the collar of his garment. At the same time, he slowly narrowed his eyes, leaving only a slit. Even more alarming, he removed the white jade Gu's defense. The consumption of primeval essence in his aperture immediately stopped. At the same time, the white jade light protecting his entire body also vanished. The cries and screams of the monkeys continued coming from the stone forest, yet Fang Yuan felt those sounds moving farther and farther away from him. A stillness covered his mind. He calmly waited for the Stone Monkey King's attack. The instant it attacked would be the instant that decided victory or defeat in this battle. Waiting. Suddenly the spring-autumn cicada in his aperture trembled again. GRRK. At the very next moment, a cry exploded beside Fang Yuan's ear. The Stone Monkey King abruptly appeared at his left side, white jade Gu. Fang Yuan's eyes shone and white jade light covered his entire body. Boom. The Stone Monkey King struck Fang Yuan's body, its force so ferocious that it nearly made Fang Yuan stagger. The primeval essence in his aperture suddenly dropped by half a portion, leaving only half of the original amount. The Stone Monkey King was cunning. The moment its attack failed, it immediately fled. Fang Yuan had no time to counterattack, but this brief moment was enough for him to fling out the garment in his hand. Suddenly, he felt the garment wrap around something. A powerful force dragged the garment outward. The garment was not an iron net. To prevent it from tearing, Fang Yuan released both hands in time. Then he saw whatever was wrapped inside the garment darting chaotically around at astonishing speed. This is the moment. Fang Yuan's eyes flashed with cold light. Whether this battle ended in victory or defeat depended on the moonblade in his hand. At this moment, he was incomparably calm. The Stone Monkey King was still a wild beast in the end. When its face was covered by the garment, it immediately fell into panic. It screeched, calling for the stone monkeys under it to help. At the same time, it dragged the garment around, changing direction again and again, making sudden turns as it ran wildly in all directions. A deep blue moonblade flew diagonally out and struck the Stone Monkey King. The Stone Monkey King screamed miserably and its figure appeared. Its appearance was not much different from ordinary jade-eyed stone monkeys, but it was 3 times larger, and its eyes glowed with blood-red light. A narrow but deep wound extended from its chest to its right thigh. Fresh blood gushed out without pause. Although it was not dead, it had been heavily injured. The aura of death had already shrouded it. In terror, it covered its wound and vanished again. Fang Yuan's garment had been cut open by the moonblade, and a long tear appeared in it before it fell to the ground. But the blood trail exposed the Stone Monkey's direction. Panicked, it retreated backward, no longer intending to pursue Fang Yuan. With such a heavy wound, if it was not treated, its life would be hard to preserve. Taking advantage of this, Fang Yuan also retreated toward the stone door. After releasing the moonblade, there was only a little primeval essence left in his aperture, and his combat ability had sharply declined. This battle appeared to have ended in a draw, but in truth, Fang Yuan had won. The Stone Monkey King's wound could not recover in a short time. The more blood it lost, the weaker it would become. Fang Yuan, however, could rely on primeval stones to swiftly replenish his primeval essence and recover his battle strength. Although he had no Gu worm to investigate concealment, and no wide-range attack method either, he had relied on his rich combat experience and iron will, remaining unshaken in danger. Fang Yuan had achieved victory from a weaker position: monkeys, foxes, wolves. These beasts possess intelligence beyond ordinary wild animals, so they are cunning. But precisely because of this, they lack courage. Once heavily injured, they will flee. If it were creatures like wild oxen or boars, the more wounded they became, the more berserk they would be. Judging from this Monkey King, it seems to have only one Gu worm on it. Although this Gu worm can turn it invisible, it cannot even hide bloodstains. If my guess is not wrong, it should be the rank 1 hidden stone Gu, Fang Yuan thought to himself. Relying on the memories in his mind, the Stone Monkey King no longer held any mystery to him. The battle is decided. Fang Yuan retreated, opened the stone door, and used primeval stones to replenish his primeval essence. A short while later, his primeval essence once again reached its peak state. He pushed open the stone door and entered the stone forest a second time. The stone forest was still chaotic, but much better than before. After this chaos, the spheres of influence of the monkey packs throughout the stone forest will likely be reshuffled. The stone monkeys will migrate and reorganize. Lone wandering stone monkeys will form new packs. The path I worked so hard to open will probably disappear because of this. Fang Yuan's heart grew heavy. Before this path completely vanished, he had to seize the chance to kill the Stone Monkey King. Otherwise, opening this path again would consume a great deal of his time. When he returned to the heart of the stone forest, he would likely have to face a Stone Monkey King that had already recovered. Have the courage to pursue broken enemies. Do not cherish empty fame and imitate the hegemon king. Fang Yuan followed the path he had opened and charged into the stone forest. Along the way, a few monkeys occasionally jumped out, and he killed them one by one. After 50 minutes, he arrived once again before the giant stone pillar at the center. The Stone Monkey King lay on the ground, turned into a stone statue. It was already dead. A jade-eyed stone monkey had one foot planted on its corpse, shrieking wildly. The throne had changed hands. The old king was dead, and the new king had risen. Whether among beast packs or in human society, there existed the same cruel mechanism of elimination. This actually saves me a bit of effort, Fang Yuan slowly approached. At that moment, a Gu worm leisurely floated up from the Stone Monkey King's corpse and flew toward the new king, Moonlight Gu. Fang Yuan immediately fired a moonblade and drove the new Stone Monkey King away. Then he stepped forward and caught this Gu worm. This Gu looked very ordinary, extremely unremarkable. It was simply a gray stone. Its surface was bumpy, neither square nor round. If it were casually tossed by the roadside, judging by appearance alone, no one would pay it any attention. But in truth, it was the essence of stone, a natural Gu worm nurtured by heaven and earth over 1,000 years. It appeared to be a dead rock, but in reality, it was a living being, with its own awareness and feelings. Just as Fang Yuan had predicted, it was the hidden stone Gu. Caught by Fang Yuan, it struggled ceaselessly, trying to escape Fang Yuan's demonic hand. Spring-Autumn Cicada. With a thought from Fang Yuan, the Spring-Autumn Cicada appeared within his aperture and emitted a trace of its aura. The hidden stone Gu instantly became as if dead. It no longer dared to struggle, like a mouse seeing a cat. Fang Yuan's fresh red primeval essence surged forth and refined it in an instant. Another Gu obtained. Fang Yuan sent the hidden stone Gu into his aperture, where it sank to the bottom of the primeval essence sea, right beside the white jade Gu. The new Stone Monkey King stood to the side, watching helplessly as Fang Yuan brought the hidden stone Gu into his own body. It was so anxious that it jumped around on the spot, screeching and crying out. It had only just ascended the throne, and not many stone monkeys obeyed it yet. Fang Yuan swept out another moonblade and instantly took the lives of 4 or 5 monkeys. The monkey packs gathered beside the new king immediately collapsed in fear, scattering in every direction. The new Stone Monkey King bared its teeth and glared at Fang Yuan. Get lost. Fang Yuan stared at it and spoke a single word, his gaze cold as ice. The Stone Monkey King trembled all over. It truly felt the terrifying killing intent Fang Yuan emitted. It stared at Fang Yuan blankly for a moment. Then suddenly let out a choked cry and turned to flee. Showing a level of intelligence superior to ordinary wild beasts. After dispersing the stone monkeys, Fang Yuan paid them no more attention. He seized the time and walked to the bottom of the stone pillar. At close range, he discovered that beneath this stone pillar was an entrance. The entrance was not large. A row of stone steps extended downward from it, leading straight into darkness. Fang Yuan did not have a scouting Gu worm, so naturally he did not know what lay below this underground cave. With the situation unclear, Fang Yuan did not step into the underground cavern. He had just charged in here, and his own condition was not very good. More importantly, the chaos inside the stone forest was gradually settling down. The path he had spent so much time and effort opening had already been occupied by many stone monkeys, which had settled inside the stone pillars along the route. Haste brings no success. Since I have found the next clue of the inheritance, I have achieved my goal. It is time to return. Fang Yuan suppressed his desire to explore and retraced his original path. Along the way, the pressure increased visibly. But in the end, Fang Yuan endured it, chased by several hundred stone monkeys as he rushed out of the stone forest in an extremely sorry state. Time hurried by, spring passed into summer. In the blink of an eye, the blazing days of summer had arrived. Fang Yuan trained diligently without pause, grasping every moment to cultivate bitterly. The Red Steel Relic Gu had allowed him to catch up to Fang Zhang's cultivation progress in one stroke. He had no special Gu worm, so the aura of middle stage could not be hidden. One day after he killed the Stone Monkey King and obtained the hidden Stone Gu, his cultivation was discovered. Only then did the clansmen learn that the one who had obtained the Red Steel Relic Gu was actually Fang Yuan. At the same time, Fang Yuan also deliberately revealed the Black Boar Gu. Fang Yuan had sold such a large portion of his inheritance to buy the Black Boar Gu and the Red Steel Relic Gu. Many people could not understand his thinking. For a time, great fool, idiot, madman, and short-sighted became the names people used to refer to Fang Yuan. The increased attention forced Fang Yuan to reduce the number of times he explored Flower Wine Monk's inheritance. On one hand, he continued nurturing his aperture and steadily advanced toward rank 2 upper stage. On the other, he gathered materials to refinement upgrade the liquor worms and the hidden stone Gu, while also creating vitality leaves to earn primeval stones and sustain his cultivation. July, early autumn. Near a village at the foot of the mountain, a wild rank 5 Gu worm suddenly appeared, greatly shaking the entire Gu Yue village. The atmosphere in the main hall was extremely heavy. The group of clan elders sat in silence. Their expressions were either cold, gloomy, or grave. Clan leader Gu Yue sat in the main seat, and even he could hardly conceal the worry in his eyes. 3 days ago, near the village at the foot of the mountain, a swallowing river toad appeared. This toad seems to have followed the Huanglong River upstream and drifted here by accident. Right now, it is blocking a tributary and sleeping there. If we ignore it, the village will remain in constant danger. Esteemed clan elders, do any of you have a good plan to drive this toad away? The clan elders looked at one another. For a time, no one spoke. The swallowing river toad was a rank 5 Gu worm, enormously powerful. When it opened its mouth, rivers poured forth in floods. If this matter was handled poorly and it was provoked, more than half of Qing Mao Mountain might be submerged in water, and the entire village would be destroyed. After a long silence, Gu Yue Lion spoke. This matter is grave and must be resolved as soon as possible, once the news leaks. There may be ill-intentioned people who secretly come here to deliberately provoke this swallowing river toad and harm our Gu Yue clan. Clan Elder Kai Lion is right, Gu Yue Mo Chen nodded. Although he was Gu Yue Lion's political enemy, at this moment of life and death, he had completely set aside the prejudices of the past. After a pause, he continued, there is an even more serious situation. Once the swallowing river toad floods Qing Mao Mountain, the wolf den will also be submerged. To escape death, the wolf packs will surely migrate up the mountain. When that happens, the wolf tide will erupt ahead of time. We will have to fight countless wild beasts for survival space at the mountain summit. After hearing these words, the faces of the clan elders all turned pale. Gu Yue added in a heavy tone, everyone, do not forget the foundation of our village. The reason our first-generation ancestor established the village here was because of the spirit spring beneath us. Once the water floods Qing Mao Mountain, this spirit spring may also be destroyed. What can we do? Sigh. Even if we stop the beast tide and survive on the summit, after the floodwaters recede, the spirit spring will vanish. Many beast packs will die out, and the surroundings will become a wasteland. Cultivation resources will be severely lacking. If we die, we might as well all die together. Why not seek aid from Qing Village and Bai Village? All 3 of us are grasshoppers tied to the same rope. I don't believe they will refuse to help. The clan elders murmured to one another. Panic began to show, and some had already started thinking of asking for help. It is still too early to ask for aid. Gu Yue shook his head and denied this idea first. This is not yet the most difficult moment. Back then, when the first-generation ancestor had just established the village, a rank 5 blood river python attacked. The first-generation clan leader killed it. Compared with the blood river python, the swallowing river toad is much more lovable. It has a mild temper and does not harm mortals in the slightest. Only when it senses the aura of other Gu worms does it become vigilant. After being heavily injured, it will go mad and spit water. By chance, I once heard the previous clan leader mention a rumor related to the swallowing river toad. In the main hall, Gu Yue spoke calmly and confidently. The clan elders listened attentively, and the tension and panic on their faces gradually eased. As expected of the clan leader, with just one discussion, he can stabilize the people's hearts. Gu Yue Jai noticed the change in atmosphere, looked at Gu Yue and silently praised him. According to what Lord Clan Leader just said, driving away this swallowing river toad is not necessarily too difficult, one clan elder said. We cannot say that either, Gu Yue shook his head, it is only a rumor. I have not seen it with my own eyes, much less tried it personally. This matter is serious, we cannot be careless. I believe we should temporarily send one Gu master group to try once first. The clan elders all nodded. Gu Yu Kai Lion said, for this matter, there is one person from my Kai family who must go. If even he cannot do it, then I fear no one in the clan can. The others all knew who Kai Lion was referring to and voiced their agreement. Clan leader Gu Yue smiled faintly. In that case, have Kai Shan's group make the trip. It's early autumn. The weather gradually grew cool. In the tavern by the window, Fang Yuan sat alone, quietly savoring fine wine. The old tavern manager stood beside him, bending at the waist in deferential respect. Manager, regarding the bitter shell wine I told you to inquire about a few days ago, have you found any clues? Fang Yuan asked. Fang Yuan was only missing one portion of bitter wine to refinement combine the liquor worm. But bitter wine was hard to find. Earlier, because of the Red Steel Relic Gu, he had drawn attention from others, causing people to point at him wherever he went. As a result, it had not been convenient for him to inquire about bitter wine. Only in the past few days had the storm gradually died down. Perhaps after bitterness came sweetness, Fang Yuan had unintentionally heard a few clues about bitter wine. The old manager quickly replied, reporting to young master. The bitter shell wine you wanted this old servant to ask about has been drunk by someone in Bai village before. The ingredient for this wine is a type of shellfish found beneath deep pools. This shellfish is entirely black, and on it are white patterns that resemble the rings of a tree. We call it the bitter shell. An ordinary shellfish can produce pearls, but this one swallows sand and stone from the water. It can only dissolve the sand and stone into a bitter liquid. Some people pry open its shell, obtain this bitter water, and use it to brew wine, producing bitter shell wine. Its flavor is bitter yet fragrant, very distinctive. Hearing this, Fang Yuan slightly raised his brows. So only Bai village has this bitter shell wine. The manager hurriedly bent lower. This humble one would not dare guarantee it. I only heard people mention it by chance. But to speak honestly, the truly famous wine of Bai village is still white grain liquid. This wine, our clan's green bamboo wine, and Qing village's bear gall wine are known together as the three wines of Qing Mao. Bitter shell wine. This servant thinks that even if Bai village has it, there would not be much. Even if there is not much, I must find it, Fang Yuan thought. But this matter was truly troublesome. In recent years, Bai village had gradually shown signs of rising. It had started to shake the traditional overlord position of Gu Yue village. If Fang Yuan wanted to enter Bai village without permission, he might be killed by Bai clan patrol Gu masters before he even saw the village gate. Even so, Fang Yuan still wanted to try. After all, this bitter shell wine was much closer than the green mugwort wine, which lay 100,000 li away. Recovering from his contemplation, Fang Yuan discovered that the old manager was still standing beside him as before. He waved his hand. Enough. Go down, there is nothing else for you here. The old man did not leave. Hesitation appeared on his face. He looked as if he wanted to speak but stopped himself. Finally, he gathered his courage and said, Young master, could you buy this tavern back? This humble one and all the waiters want only to work for you. You know, when the old master came back once, he deducted more than half our wages. With that little primeval stone each month, it is very difficult for us servants to feed our families and survive. Fang Yuan shook his head, his expression unchanged. I already sold this tavern to him. According to the agreement, I will not buy it back. Moreover, I do not want to operate this tavern. Go down, but young master. The old man still stood there. Fang Yuan frowned unhappily. Remember, I am no longer your young master. Back then, he had increased these people's wages, only because he wanted them to work enthusiastically for him. Yet these people had come to think he was easy to talk to, and now they wanted a yard after getting an inch. At present, by selling vitality leaves, Fang Yuan could only reach the level of barely supporting himself. He was already endlessly troubled over bitter wine. Why would he buy back the tavern for these people? But young master, we truly cannot survive anymore. Please, young master, show great mercy and pity us. With a thud, the manager dropped to his knees and begged miserably. This movement immediately drew the attention of the surrounding drinkers. Fang Yuan laughed coldly. He casually picked up the wine jar on the table and smashed it onto the manager's head. Crash. The wine jar shattered at once. Wine splashed everywhere and the old man's head split open, blood flowing. You truly think I do not dare kill you, blind thing, get lost. Cold light shot from Fang Yuan's eyes in all directions. Meeting this killing intent, the old manager trembled all over. In an instant, he suddenly sobered, then retreated in a fluster. In any world, there is always a group of weaklings who shamelessly beg alms from the strong, clinging without knowing their place, as though helping them is the natural bearing of the strong, and refusing to help them is wrong. The weak should have the bearing of the weak. Either they accept their fate and become lowly as servants, or they strive with humility and effort. The strong helping the weak is merely charity when their mood is good, if the weak do not work hard, and instead shamelessly beg from the strong while demanding a result, pestering them endlessly. Then being refused is deserved. Those who willingly remain weak, who refuse to make an effort themselves and only think of begging the strong, have never deserved sympathy. Manager, hurry and bandage the manager's wound. The waiters surrounded the old man whose face was full of blood, and chaos broke out. The old manager was only a mortal. Even if he had been killed on the spot, it would not have mattered. This matter was thus considered over. The surrounding drinkers immediately felt there was nothing interesting to see. They withdrew their gazes and continued their own conversations. Have you heard? A major event happened recently. You mean the swallowing river toad? Who does not know about it now? That is a rank 5 Gu worm. If it is not handled properly, our village may face extinction. I heard this swallowing river toad feeds on water. When it is hungry, it opens its huge mouth and directly sucks up an entire river. If it becomes angry, it can flood Qing Mao Mountain. Its power is terrifying. I fear all of us will die, but what can we do? Sai, this depends on how the clan's higher-ups handle it. In any case, we cannot escape. Where could we even run? The tavern was filled with a confused, frightened atmosphere. Swallowing river toad. Fang Yuan heard this and found it amusing. Fear was contagious. The more it spread, the more terrifying it became. In truth, the swallowing river toad had an extremely gentle temperament. It was not frightening at all. It was born fond of sleeping, and people often saw swallowing river toads drifting along the current in large rivers. They would often expose their white bellies to the sky, lying on their backs on the surface of the water and sleeping soundly. Sometimes when they woke from sleep, they would suck river water into their bellies until full. After becoming full, they would continue sleeping. They had no interest in fighting or killing. If they encountered an enemy, their first reaction was to flee. Only when driven into a corner and truly unable to avoid conflict would they fiercely counterattack. Their battle strength was tremendous. When they opened their mouths, they could spit out surging, endless river water. The river would sweep over the earth and create a flood in an instant. This swallowing river toad must have fallen asleep and drifted along the Huanglong River. It accidentally floated into a small tributary, then was carried by the water to the foot of Qing Mao Mountain. Fang Yuan had guessed the truth. It was said that inside the belly of every swallowing river toad, there was a great river. Fang Yuan had never used a swallowing river toad in his previous life, but he had a very deep impression of this Gu, all because of one person. An ordinary man, a household slave. More than 200 years later in his previous life, an extremely unusual Gu master appeared, Jiang Fan. His existence opened the eyes of Gu masters and made mortals eagerly pass down his tale. The moment he appeared, he became a legend. What created him was precisely a swallowing river toad. Jiang Fan had originally been a household slave, alone guarding a fishing ground for his master. One day, a swallowing river toad ran aground on the riverbank. Its belly faced the sky, and its head leaned back as it slept soundly the whole time. At first, Jiang Fan was both shocked and afraid. But gradually he thought, could this toad already be dead? Why does it not move at all? The toad corpse blocked the upstream flow and caused considerable trouble for Jiang Fan, who guarded the fishing ground. Jiang Fan thought of every possible method to drag this toad corpse away, but he was only a mortal. How could he possibly move the heavy swallowing river toad? His master was harsh and brutal. If he failed to fulfill the prescribed monthly quota, his head would fall. Jiang Fan did not dare report the matter. Not long before, someone had failed to meet the quota and reported a reasonable cause, only to be killed on the spot by the master. Seeing the deadline approach while the toad corpse still blocked the river, greatly affecting his income, Jiang Fan became more and more panicked, and his temper grew increasingly irritable. Although he knew he could not move this toad corpse, he still went there every day, punching and kicking it, weeping and making a scene, venting all his fear and rage before death descended. But one day, the swallowing river toad suddenly woke. It opened its sleepy, misty eyes and stared at Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan was so frightened that his legs went soft on the spot. The swallowing river toad was half awake and half asleep, still lying stiffly in place. Only after a long while did Jiang Fan calm down. He was no longer afraid. What was there for a man about to die to fear? He climbed directly onto the swallowing river toad's belly, lay back, and looked at the starry sky. Toad, oh Toad, you are just like me. You only have one breath left and are about to die, guarantee you. He had no idea of the swallowing river toad's habits. Seeing its half-dead appearance, he only thought it was on its last legs as well. Jiang Fan spoke and spoke until tears streamed down his face. The swallowing river toad half opened its eyelids, listened to Jiang Fan speak, and also looked up at the starry sky. For several days after that, Jiang Fan lay every day on the swallowing river toad's soft, snow-white belly, sobbing while he spoke, pouring out the suffering and pressure of a mortal. Finally, the deadline arrived. The steward came down from the mountain village to his fishing ground to collect fish. Jiang Fan had no fish to hand over. With everything driven into a dead end, he could only excuse himself by saying he needed a little time to prepare. Then he ran to say farewell to the swallowing river toad. He patted the swallowing river toad's belly and said, "Old toad, I did not expect that I would die before you. To know you can be considered fate. I hope that in this final stretch of time, you can also feel a little more at ease." At that moment, the swallowing river toad began to move. Jiang Fan was startled. The swallowing river toad's movements became clearer and clearer, and he hurriedly jumped down. Splash. The swallowing river toad rolled over, belly downward and back upward. At last, it had fully awakened. Jiang Fan, soaked from head to toe, looked at this scene and stamped his feet in anger. "Old toad, oh old toad, so you could move after all. Ayo, ayo, you have killed me. If you had moved a few days earlier, I would not have needed to die." The swallowing river toad paid no attention to his words. Once it woke, it felt hungry. Half of its body sank into the water. Then it opened its great mouth and began sucking in river water to eat. When Jiang Fan saw this scene, his eyes went wide and his mouth hung open. Shocked, he watched as the river level dropped rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. A massive amount of river water was sucked into the swallowing river toad's belly. But its belly did not swell in the slightest, as if there were a bottomless pit inside. Only after a while did the swallowing river toad slowly stop eating. The river water had dropped to a very low level, and most of the muddy riverbed was exposed. If a person stood at the bottom of the river, the water would only reach their knees. Jiang Fan stood on the riverbank, dazed as a wooden statue. The swallowing river toad glanced at him and suddenly burped. Then its belly swelled and contracted, and its mouth opened wide, spitting out a large amount of fresh shrimp and fish. Shrimp, crabs, fish, eels, shellfish, snails, clams, everything was there. The swallowing river toad ate only water and did not eat these aquatic creatures, so it spat them all out. At that moment, it was as if a rain of fresh shrimp and fish fell from the sky. In an instant, these shrimp and fish piled into a small hill. Seeing this, Jiang Fan jumped 3 feet high in wild joy. He shouted, "I am saved, I am saved. These shrimp and fish are enough for 3 months of my quota. Old toad, it is all thanks to you." He gathered up all these fresh shrimp and fish and handed them to the steward. The steward was immediately both shocked and suspicious. How could there be so many? He hurriedly reported upward, and the Gu masters in the mountain village also noticed the sudden change in the river water. After investigating, they quickly discovered the existence of the swallowing river toad. This was a rank 5 Gu worm. The entire mountain village fell into panic and formed a large force, wanting to drive the swallowing river toad away. Jiang Fan did not want the swallowing river toad to be harmed. Over those days, he had already treated the swallowing river toad as his only friend. He knelt before the Gu masters and pleaded bitterly. But how could the Gu masters place a mortal like him in their eyes? They kicked him away, and a Gu master was about to kill him outright when, at that moment, the swallowing river toad arrived. No one knew whether it also regarded Jiang Fan as a friend, or whether it felt that keeping Jiang Fan by its side was rather amusing. Someone to chat with and relieve boredom. In short, it made its move. It carried Jiang Fan on its back and spat out river water that swept through the entire mountain village, flooding more than half the mountain. This battle shook southern border. From then on, Jiang Fan's name spread throughout the 100,000 mountains. The swallowing river toad remained at his side. He possessed a rank 5 Gu worm. One had to know that even rank 5 Gu masters might not necessarily possess a rank 5 Gu worm. Rank 5 Gu masters were extremely rare. Even in the entire history of the Gu Yue clan, only 2 had ever appeared. One was the first-generation clan leader, and the second was the fourth-generation clan leader. Yet Jiang Fan, a man who had not even opened his aperture and was only an ordinary mortal, kept a swallowing river toad. His existence shook the Gu master world. Later, Jiang Fan built a village on the original site of that mountain village. He was tolerant toward others, sympathized with mortals, and aspired to establish a mountain village without oppression, where all people were equal. He became a banner. The ordinary people around the nearby mountain villages all rushed to his side, wanting to rely on him. But in the end, he was still assassinated. A rank 5 swallowing river toad could not make him truly strong. He was ultimately not a Gu master. After he died, the swallowing river toad also left. The Gu masters razed his village to the ground and slaughtered all those bold mortals to the last. With the body of a mortal, Jiang Fan had challenged an entire social system. Naturally, he incurred the fury of the Gu masters. I wonder if, in this life, because of my influence, Jiang Fan will still appear. As the memory ended, Fang Yuan smiled. Kai Shan, however, could not smile at all. His face was dark as he returned, dejected like a plucked bird. The villagers at the foot of the mountain had always been eagerly hoping that the Gu Master Lord could resolve this trouble. But even the Grand Gu Yu Kai Shan personally making a move could not solve this problem. This caused the villagers' panic to spread rapidly and reach its peak. They brought their whole families, carrying bundles large and small, and rushed up toward the mountain village. Naturally, they did not dare charge into the village itself. So more and more villagers knelt at the village gate, begging the Gu Master Lords to show mercy and allow them inside. In the main hall, what? A bunch of lowly commoners dare surround the gate? Ridiculous. Their courage is growing larger and larger. Kill them all. The Punishment Hall clan elder roared. Gu Yu Yao Jai, elder of the Medicine Hall, also had a gloomy expression. Although these lowly commoners are not worth pity even if they die, killing one can warn 100. Killing a few who are displeasing to the eye will be enough to scatter this crowd. But doing so would let the other mountain villages laugh at us. Gu Yu Kai Lion said, the important matter now is not this. If even Kai Shan cannot push the swallowing river toad, who else in our clan can? It seems we really must request reinforcements. Qing village specializes in strength, sigh. For the village's safety, even if we must pay a high price, it will be worth it. These words were approved by the other clan elders, and clan leader Gu Yue also wavered. Lord clan leader and esteemed clan elders, this junior has a matter to report. Gu Yue Kai-shan stood in the hall. Hearing the clan elder's words, he suddenly bowed and spoke. Gu Yue nodded. He was rather fond of Gu Yue Kai-shan. Kai-shan, if you have a suggestion, speak freely. Kai-shan did not answer. Instead, he asked, esteemed lords, to push the swallowing river toad awake. Is it true that we must rely on the strength of one individual? Gu Yue said, according to what the previous clan leader once mentioned by chance. The swallowing river toad has a gentle temperament and loves to sleep. Even if its body is pushed until it wakes, it will not become angry. That is why we ordered you, the person with the greatest strength in the village, to push it awake. In the end, you failed. Kai-shan followed the line of reasoning and said, then I request Lord Clan Leader to grant this junior a barbarian strength heavenly bull Gu. With the strength of one bull added to this junior's innate strength, I will surely be able to push this swallowing river toad. Absolutely not. The strength of Gu worms cannot be used. The moment Kai-shan finished speaking, one clan elder firmly refused his request. The aura of a Gu worm will make the swallowing river toad vigilant. If this makes the toad feel threatened and become violent, then who will bear the responsibility? Correct. Gu Yue nodded. Once a Gu worm is used, even if the swallowing river toad is awakened, it will not acknowledge it. It must be one person alone, relying on their own strength to wake it. Only then will it acknowledge that person. Gu are the true essence of heaven and earth, but their habits are very similar to those of wild beasts. Every wild beast has its own territory. When roaming fierce beasts encounter the beast king of a territory, they usually fight. The winner takes the territory and the loser wanders. The formation of beast tides was also based on this habit of wild beasts. Powerful beast packs swallowed nearby territories. Weak beast packs were driven out, and this formed the early stage of beast tides. To drive away the swallowing river toad, they had to start from this habit. The swallowing river toad had a gentle temperament and disliked fighting. As long as it recognized the ability of the beast king of this land, it would withdraw. Therefore, Gu worms could not be used. The aura of Gu worms would be detected by the swallowing river toad, and the consequences would be difficult to predict. Gathering many people to work together was also impossible. Once many people were involved, even if they pushed the swallowing river toad, it would not leave. Because that would be the strength of many people, victory without heroism. It would not acknowledge it. That was why the clan leader had sent Kai-shan first, because his personal strength was the greatest in Gu Yue village, so that is the reason. This junior understands. Kai-shan finally knew the root of the matter. He cupped his fists and said, since that is the case, this junior recommends one person to the esteemed clan elders. This person's strength is even greater than mine. Oh, who is it? There is such a person, why do we not know? Kai-shan, stop being mysterious, hurry and speak. This person is Gu Yue Fang Yuan. Kai-shan said a name, Gu Yue Fang Yuan. Upon hearing this name, the clan elders could not help looking at one another. They knew this person very well. In fact, from the very beginning, the name Gu Yue Fang Yuan had often echoed in their ears. Especially after the awakening ceremony. Once Gu Master Cultivation began, this person appeared even more often, frequently causing incidents that drew attention. I have an impression. Some time ago, this person sold his parents' inheritance to buy a red steel relic Gu, did he not? One clan elder suddenly said. When Gu Yue Kai Lion and Gu Yue Mo Chen heard this, their faces both became somewhat ugly. If the red steel relic Gu had been used by Kai-shan or Mo Yan, it could have helped one of them step into rank 2 peak stage and stand shoulder to shoulder with Gu Yue King Shu. Reflected upon the higher levels, whether for the Mo family or the Kai family, that would have been a political victory. Unexpectedly, the result had been ruined by this prodigal boy. However, speaking of it, this lad truly has great strength, back then on the arena. He smashed through the defense of the Jade Skin Gu with 2 punches, beat Fang Zheng flat to the ground, and seized first place in this year's cohort, a clan elder recalled. This time, clan leader Gu Yue's expression became slightly unpleasant. Gu Yue Fang Zhang had been personally nurtured by him. Fang Zhang's defeat, in a certain sense, was also a defeat for the clan leader's faction. As long as one entered the system, everyone was branded with the label of a camp. There could be neutral factions in politics, but absolutely no one without a faction. But if we speak of strength, I fear his power is still inferior to yours, Kai Shan, Kai Lion asked suspiciously. Kai Shan respectfully answered, esteemed clan elders may not know. Fang Yuan did not only buy the red steel relic Gu. He also bought a black boar Gu. These past few months, he has constantly been purchasing wild boar meat to feed the black boar Gu and strengthen his own body. Once, this junior saw him pushing a large rock on the mountainside to measure his strength. This junior does not know exactly how strong he is, but from what I saw, his strength absolutely does not lose to mine. So that is how it is. This child Fang Yuan has actually developed to this point. Gu Yue nodded slightly. Then have Fang Yuan's group try once more. Hearing this, the Internal Affairs Hall clan elder awkwardly rose from his seat. Reporting to Lord Clan Leader, this Fang Yuan is currently alone and has not joined any small group. What does that mean? Gu Yue frowned slightly. It is like this. After the first beast tide, that group of his was almost wiped out, leaving only him alive, the Internal Affairs Hall elder replied. Even so, when the small groups were reformed, why was he not included? One clan elder asked curiously, sigh. The Internal Affairs Hall elder sighed heavily. I instructed him about this as well, but he had no intention of joining any group. To be honest, I am very displeased with this brat. What he is best at is playing tricks. I fear that after inheriting that estate he lost the will to strive. Playing tricks, how is that possible? If he has no group, how does he complete the monthly mandatory missions? A clan elder asked with suspicion. The Internal Affairs Hall elder's face darkened completely. Every month he accepts a mandatory mission, but every time he fails. His record is the worst I have ever seen. Nearly all his missions are failures. I have specifically sought him out to talk several times, yet he still does as he pleases without the slightest remorse. But he has not violated the clan's rules, which leaves me with no way to punish this sly and stubborn brat. The clan elders heard this and looked at one another. They had never encountered a young junior so indifferent to advancement. The more mission failures one had, the worse their prospects within the clan. This foolish brat. HMPH truly stubborn and hard to discipline. He is destroying his own future. If I had given birth to such a rotten junior, I would slap him dead directly. Enough. Gu Yue raised his hand and stopped the clan elders murmuring. His face revealed neither joy nor anger. Gu Yue swept his gaze around the hall and finally stopped on the Internal Affairs Hall elder. Issue a compulsory order. Gu Yue Fang Yuan is to go to the Swallowing River Toad's location and exert his strength. This person is arrogant and stubborn, accustomed to acting freely and without restraint. He needs tempering. If he fails, we can also use this matter to punish him somewhat. As you command, Lord Clan Leader, the Internal Affairs Hall elder quickly replied. In the tavern, voices clamored noisily. Everyone, have you heard? Just now, the clan sent Kai Shan's group to the foot of the mountain, but they failed and returned. The villagers at the foot of the mountain have already rushed to the village gate. They are kneeling all over the ground right now. HMPH, those lowly commoners have no understanding at all. What is the Swallowing River Toad? It is a rank 5 Gu worm. Do they really think they will be safe just because they can hide inside the village? Although they said this, the atmosphere of panic had grown heavier and heavier. These Gu masters were only forcing themselves to remain calm. Fang Yuan listened for a while and no longer heard any new information. He was about to rise and leave when, at that moment, someone entered the tavern. His figure was tall and large, with a tiger's back and bear's waist. His upper body was bare, his skin dark red, and his muscles bulged powerfully. It was Gu Yue Kai Shan. The discussion in the tavern immediately stopped. Countless gazes stared at Kai Shan. Kai Shan ignored these eyes. He merely swept his gaze across the room and spotted Fang Yuan. So you are here. In front of everyone, he walked to Fang Yuan and said, come. The clan has issued a compulsory order. I will explain the details on the road. First, come with me to the foot of the mountain. Fang Yuan's gaze flashed. He could not refuse this type of compulsory order. Furthermore, facing the swallowing river toad was not overly dangerous, so he nodded and agreed. Only after Fang Yuan and Kai Shan left the tavern did noise erupt in the tavern once again. Manager, the heavens have eyes. Look, retribution came so quickly, that is a rank 5 Gu worm. Even the other Gu Master Lords are helpless against it, he is so young. If he goes there, is he not just throwing his life away? We originally thought young Master Fang Yuan would not be like other Gu Masters, and could sympathize with the bitterness and suffering of servants like us, HMPH. In the end, he is the same kind as them. Let him die, let him die. Even death would not be a pity. Manager, your wound was not suffered in vain. To be compensated with the life of a Gu Master Lord, it is absolutely worth it. The old manager's head had already been wrapped round and round with white cloth. At this moment he groaned weakly, leaning against the corner of the wall. Several waiters surrounded him and spoke words of consolation. A trace of hatred flashed in the old man's eyes. Hearing these words, his mood improved somewhat. But after listening for a while, he pretended to scold weakly, "All of you shut your mouths. Are these words something we can say? Are you not afraid that if other Gu Masters hear you, your heads will fall?" The waiters laughed and joked. "Manager, you are being too careful, the tavern is so noisy. Who could hear our voices when they are this quiet?" As soon as these words fell, a Gu Master sitting nearby interjected, "I heard." The manager and several waiters instantly changed color, frightened to the extreme. "Lord." The old manager ignored his dizziness and quickly went to this Gu Master's side to beg forgiveness. But this male Gu Master raised his hand and stopped his words. "What you said was very good, I like hearing it. That little beast Fang Yuan death would not be a pity. Say a few more sentences like that. If you speak well, I will give you a great reward." The male Gu Master took out a primeval stone and slapped it onto the table with a clack. If Fang Yuan had been here, he would have recognized this person as the healing Gu Master from the small beast tied before. Fang Yuan had used the woman he loved as a shield in front of himself. Because of that, this man's hatred for Fang Yuan had become deep, and this grudge had never faded. The waiters looked at one another. One bold waiter stared fixedly at the primeval stone on the table. The male Gu Master's 3 companions frowned, but they could not openly advise him. They could only listen as the waiters competed to curse Fang Yuan. Early autumn, the scenery was beautiful. In the mountain forest, the leaves came in layers thin and thick. Green leaves were dotted with yellow, and pale yellow leaves set off the red. In the fields, a stretch of heavy golden rice swayed like waves in the autumn wind. In several vegetable gardens, the fresh green leaves were lush and pleasing to the heart. Fang Yuan followed the mountainside and ran with Kai Shan's group to the foot of the mountain, where they saw this rank 5 swallowing river toad. Its size was enormous, truly like a small mountain lying on its back in the riverbed, directly blocking the river. The river water gathered upstream had nearly overflowed the banks, while downstream it was almost dry, with only a few small streams moistening the riverbed. The swallowing river toad's belly faced upward, smooth and snow-white, covered with a glossy sheen. Its back was the blue of a clear day, equally sleek and without the bumps found on ordinary toads. At this moment it lay stiff and straight, sleeping deeply, yet it did not snore. It was very quiet, very gentle. Sensing its aura, the 2 liquor worms within Fang Yuan's aperture both curled up. The black boar Gu lost all its joyous manner and flew very low. The moonlight Gu residing in his right palm restrained its light. Only the spring-autumn cicada still slept peacefully as before. Fang Yuan took the moonlight Gu back into his aperture. As long as he did not actively activate these Gu worms, their auras would not be revealed. Placing them in the aperture was extremely safe. "Fang Yuan, what happens next depends on you," Kai Shan said from the side. On the road, he had explained most of the situation. Fang Yuan also approved of this method. Of course, the simplest method was to use the spring-autumn cicada. As long as a little of the aura of a rank 6 Gu worm leaked out, this swallowing river toad would certainly panic and flee. Of course, this was also because the swallowing river toad disliked fighting. If it were a brutal goo worm like the blood river python, the spring-autumn cicada's aura would instead enrage it and make it launch a frenzied attack. Fang Yuan stood on the riverbank and tried pushing first. The swallowing river toad's smooth white skin gave him no leverage. Combined with its heavy weight, it simply could not be moved at all. Can you do it or not? Kai Cheng mocked from the side. Fang Yuan ignored him and said to Kai Shan, "Although I have the strength increase from the black boar Gu, if we speak of exactly how much stronger I am probably only a little stronger than you. But to push this swallowing river toad away is not entirely hopeless. I still need your group's help. How do we help?" Kai Shan immediately asked. Fang Yuan slowly explained. Kai Shan showed some doubt. "If it is like this, will that not count as cooperation? Even if the swallowing river toad wakes, will it acknowledge you and then willingly leave?" Fang Yuan smiled. "You can be at ease regarding this. As long as all of you stay far enough away so it cannot sense you, then it will naturally work. In the end, it is only a goo worm. Do not think it is so intelligent." Late autumn was clear and bright. The sky was blue, transparent and clean like crystal. A light wind blew, gently brushing over Fang Yuan's hair. Looking into the distance, the nearby village had already become sparsely populated. Close by, the swallowing river toad slept soundly like a small mountain, stranded in the riverbed. Fang Yuan stood on the riverbank. Compared with this enormous rank 5 goo worm, he seemed like a little monkey beside an elephant. Fang Yuan's mood was calm without the slightest worry. He thought silently, "I used the white boar Gu and black boar Gu one after another to temper my body and increase my strength. Right now, I possess the strength of 2 boars. Adding my own strength, that is enough to surpass 5 or 6 grown men. But to push this swallowing river toad awake, I fear I would need the strength of 2 bulls. With my strength alone, naturally it will not work. However, as long as I borrow the strength of the waves, here it comes, splash, splash, splash." Fang Yuan turned his body and looked over. A wave undulated toward him, disturbing the quiet river water. The wave grew larger and larger, constantly striking the swallowing river toad and raising foam that splashed toward the sky. Fang Yuan had only stood there for a short while before his body was already soaked. He did not care. He began pushing the swallowing river toad with all his might. The swallowing river toad still slept as soundly as if dead. It was originally a goo worm that lived in rivers, lakes, and seas. To it, waves crashing against it were far too ordinary and could not wake it at all. Using the direction of the waves, Fang Yuan worked hard for half a day and finally slowly pushed the swallowing river toad from its original position. The farther downstream the river went, the wider the riverbed became. Moreover, with flowing water on both sides, the more Fang Yuan pushed, the easier it became. After it had been pushed about 300 steps, the swallowing river toad opened its sleepy, misty eyes. A pair of deep green pupils gradually woke from their dazed state, then looked straight at Fang Yuan beside it. Fang Yuan had no fear and met its gaze directly. In its deep, tranquil pupils, Fang Yuan could see his own reflection. Croak. The swallowing river toad raised its head and suddenly opened its mouth wide, releasing a strange cry. The frog-like call spread outward, echoing throughout Qing Mao Mountain. For a moment, Fang Yuan felt his ears buzzing. The swallowing river toad lowered its head, aiming its great mouth at the surging river water and sucking it in. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The speed of the river's flow instantly increased by more than 10 times, all of it pouring into the swallowing river toad's belly. The river surface rapidly sank at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fang Yuan stood beside the swallowing river toad and saw clearly that countless shrimp, crabs, fish, and snails were also being sucked into the swallowing river toad's belly, along with the river water. Sensing the abnormal change in the river, Kai Shan's group rushed over. When they saw the swallowing river toad eating, all of them turned pale. What a magnificent sight. Kai Cheng stared, unable to hide his shock. You succeeded. Kai Shan looked toward Fang Yuan. It should be so. Fang Yuan nodded indifferently. The river water sank lower and lower until it dried up. The swallowing river toad lifted its head high again, its belly swelling and falling as it spat out countless fresh shrimp and fish. Flop, flop, flop. For a time, a great number of fresh shrimp and fish fell to the ground, making pattering sounds. Fish flicked their bodies and leaped forward on the ground. Soft-shelled turtles dropped chaotically. Crabs crawled sideways, only to be smashed by fresh shrimp and fish falling from above. At first, Fang Yuan did not pay much attention and merely glanced at them casually, but suddenly he smelled a faint fragrance of wine. Strange. Why is there the aroma of wines? Kai Cheng sniffed, his expression startled. It should be 100-year bitter shell. The female Gu master of the group pointed at a cracked black shell the size of a millstone. This shell was entirely black as ink, and the patterns on it resembled the growth rings of trees. That is right. Bitter shells can turn sand and stone into bitter-tasting liquid. The bitter water of a 100-year bitter shell changes over a long time and becomes wine. The current clan leader of Bai village also likes drinking this bitter shell wine very much, Kai Shan added from the side. There was no need for him to explain in detail. Fang Yuan had long since picked up the shell and begun gathering the bitter shell wine. Not long ago, he had still been worrying about how to obtain bitter shell wine. He had not expected it to appear before him in this manner. Truly, he had worn out iron shoes searching for it, only to obtain it without any effort when the time came. The swallowing river toad had almost sucked dry the water of this river. The bitter shells buried deep in the mud and sand of the riverbed were exposed because of this. Fang Yuan soon gathered 600-year bitter shells. 2 were damaged while the other 4 were intact. At last I have collected bitter wines. In that case, I can begin refinement combining the 4 flavors liquor worm. At this moment, the joy in Fang Yuan's heart was something outsiders could hardly understand. Croak. After the swallowing river toad spat out all these fresh shrimp and fish, it cried once more. Then it looked carefully at Fang Yuan one time, slowly moved its oversized body and followed the river downstream. It truly succeeded. Kai Shan murmured, the stone weighing on his heart finally fell. He watched the departing swallowing river toad until its back disappeared from sight. What is this supposed to be? He drove it away so simply. If we had known earlier, we could have done it ourselves. Now Fang Yuan has easily become a hero just like that. Kai Cheng curled his lip, his voice filled with jealousy and unwillingness. Fang Yuan, no matter what, this time you have made a great contribution. You are the hero of our Gu Yue clans. Kai Shan looked at Fang Yuan with a complicated expression and spoke. Oh. Fang Yuan answered absent-mindedly, extremely perfunctory. At the same time, his eyes gleamed as he continued searching among the fresh shrimp and fish scattered over the ground for 100-year bitter shells. Hero, what of it? It was merely a word of praise. Praise and curses were nothing but other people's opinions of oneself. Fang Yuan did not care at all about how others viewed him. Let others see me as they wish, I live as I wish. Hero, coward, haha. Neither is better than obtaining a bitter shell in reality. News that the swallowing river toad had been driven away returned to the village immediately. Gu Yue said good 3 times in succession, and the heavy atmosphere in the hall was swept away at once. Only the Internal Affairs Hall elder had a complicated expression. He had never looked favorably upon Fang Yuan. Moreover, not long ago, he had openly criticized Fang Yuan. Now, the crisis of Gu Yue village had been resolved by Fang Yuan stepping forward. One event following the other, was this not a slap to his face? Gu Yue Fang Yuan has merit in driving away the swallowing river toad. He will be specially promoted to group leader and rewarded 500 primeval stones. Gu Yue pondered for a while before issuing this order, which contained deep meaning. In the tavern, what Fang Yuan actually succeeded. Strange, he is merely a newcomer. How could he drive away a rank 5 Gu worm? Even Kai Shan came back in defeat, yet he did it. The news spread and everyone was incomparably shocked. Fang Yuan has become the hero who saved our entire clan. This. After the male Gu master who held a grudge against Fang Yuan heard the news, he was thrown into confusion. His group leader suddenly shouted, pointing at the tavern manager and the waiters. You mortals dare insult the hero of our clan, you deserve death. Before his words finished, a moonblade had already flown out. How could the old tavern manager have expected this fatal disaster to come so suddenly? The moonblade struck his neck and his head was instantly separated from his body. Lords, spare us. The waiters were stunned at this scene. Then they collapsed to the ground, crying loudly and begging for mercy. Group leader, what are you doing? The male Gu master stood up. What am I doing? His group leader raised his brows and sighed heavily. The present is no longer the same as before, hi. Fang Yuan has suddenly become a hero. He will definitely be noticed by the higher-ups. Tell me, if the matter of us cursing him here is spread by someone with intentions, then what? There are plenty of scouting Gu masters here. If some person who dislikes us says a few bad words to the clan elders, our future will be ruined. The male Gu master broke out in cold sweat all over when he heard this. It was indeed so. Clan kinship was held supreme. Fang Yuan had faced a rank 5 Gu worm outside, risking his life to protect the clan. At the same time, they had cursed him and humiliated him openly in public. What kind of mentality was that? That was the heart of a wolf and lungs of a dog, unable to distinguish good from bad, cold, and heartless. It was just like a piece of history on Earth. Yufei fought outside to defend the country, while Qin Hui acted as an insider in the court to frame him. Although these Gu masters had not gone so far as to frame him, if this matter truly spread, could the clan's higher-ups feel assured about people like them? If it were Mo Yan or Kai Cheng, people with backing behind them, that would be one thing. But the few of them had no one protecting them from above. Climbing upward within the system meant people jostling against people, people stepping on people. If this matter was used by others, it would create an extremely negative influence on their futures. It is still in time to salvage it. As long as we show our attitude, outsiders will not discuss it. These cheap lives of mortals are not worth pity. No, for them to sacrifice themselves for us is their honor. All of you act now, each person kills one. After killing them all, praise Fang Yuan and clearly display your attitude. The group leader ordered in a low voice. Damn it, the male Gu master cursed. Between hatred and future prospects, he did not hesitate to choose the latter. A moonblade slashed down, and one waiter immediately died miserably. Lords, please, we beg you to spare us. In that instant, the other waiters all fell to the ground, frightened until feces and urine flowed uncontrollably. The male Gu master paid them no attention. In front of everyone, he pointed at the pitiful waiters with righteous words and shouted, all of you truly deserve death. What kind of hero is Gu Yue Fang Yuan? He protected the entire clan by his strength alone. Have you eaten the courage of a tiger and the gallbladder of a bear, daring to curse him? As the male Gu master spoke, his brows knitted tight. This expression was not feigned. Fang Yuan was someone he hated deeply, yet he had to praise Fang Yuan in front of everyone. Even he felt disgusted and nauseated by his own words. Lord, was it not you who told us to, irk? One waiter felt too wronged and shouted loudly. But just as he shouted, his voice abruptly cut off. A moonblade flew over and killed him, a bunch of lowly commoners. Cursing him yourselves is one thing, but now you even want to bite back and implicate us. The one who attacked was a female Gu master. At this moment her face was cold as frost as she shouted. The other Gu masters looked over as if watching a play. Some laughed, some were indifferent. Some continued talking with each other. No one came forward to persuade them. What was the death of a few mortals? At most, they would compensate with a few household slaves. Everyone here was of the clan, they were all relatives. They would not disturb or investigate for the sake of these outsiders and create needless estrangement. Gu Yue clan. Xianxia stood on the mountainside, looking toward Gu Yue village in the distance, his expression somewhat complicated. Autumn wind rustled softly and slowly blew past. Looking again at this moment, the colors of autumn had already dyed the mountain forest. Red leaves mixed with yellow. Wild fruits hung in deep clusters. Only the green spear bamboo was still as jade-like and upright as before. Not long ago, the Gu Yue clan was like the green spear bamboo on this mountain, green through all 4 seasons, the #1 overlord. And now, it already shows signs of decline. The corner of Xianxia's mouth lifted in a mocking smile. But not long after, he thought of his own mountain village. The smile at the corner of his mouth faded, and his mood grew heavy. Bai Village's rise had already broken Qing Mao Mountain's previous balance. The traditional overlord, the Gu Yue clan, was weakening, while Qing Village's management was also poor. These two things were causing the structure of Qing Mao Mountain to trend gradually toward chaos. Xinglai knew that the reason this problem had not erupted completely was because of the pressure created by the wolf tide. The three great mountain villages had to cooperate to get through this wolf tide. So they had tacitly chosen cooperation for now, temporarily throwing aside the grudges of the past. After the wolf tide passes, Qing Mao Mountain's old structure will surely be broken. Bai Ningbing has reached rank 3 cultivation in only a few years, truly terrifying. In Xinglai's mind, the figure of a white-clothed youth emerged, and his mood felt as if a huge boulder were pressing down upon it. Xinglai was the number 1 among rank 2 Gu masters of Qing Village. In his lifetime, he had fought dozens of battles, large and small, winning far more than he lost, and establishing a resounding reputation. He possessed the Grand Bear Gu. Once he erupted, he could display the strength of one bear, and was known as the number 1 great strongman of Qing Mao Mountain. He had entered the stage long ago, and had practically witnessed Bai Ningbing's rocket-like rise with his own eyes. Because of this, he understood the terror of this person even more. Group leader is that Gu Yue village, it is still so far, why are we stopping here? Beside him, Xinglin clasped both hands behind his head and asked curiously. In this 5-person group, Xinglin was the youngest. He was a newcomer who had just begun making his name, the same age as Fang Yuan, and was the number 1 genius of this year's cohort in Qing Village. His stature was short, but he had a bald head that shone white beneath the sunlight. Xinglai's gaze swept over this rising talent of the clan, and his heavy mood eased slightly. He replied in a deep voice, "This trip is a diplomatic mission, not a scouting mission. This place is already within the Gu Yue clan's warning boundary. If we enter rashly, we will likely be treated as enemies." "So that is how it is," Xinglin said, suddenly understanding. "We came this time with 2 goals. One is to deliver the letter personally written by our clan leader to the Gu Yue clan leader. The second is to investigate the swallowing river toad incident. In the end, Gu Yue village is not our place. Once we enter, restrain your tempers. But absolutely do not trample on the prestige of our Qing village. Do you understand?" Xinglai's gaze swept over the 4 people beside him, and he shouted softly. The other Gu masters all became serious and silently nodded. "Group leader, someone is coming," the scouting Gu master in the group suddenly said. "We have exposed our traces for this long, they should be coming, I wonder who it is, so it is Kai Shan." Before long, Xinglai also discovered Kai Shan's group and his eyes flashed. "Oh, what a tall fellow is he, Kai Shan. He is even taller than group leader Xinglai, and those muscles piece by piece. Group leader, is he the person born with great strength who has always wanted to take the title of Qing Mao Mountain's number 1 great strongman?" Xinglin immediately widened his eyes, HMPH with him. Xingjiang behind him curled his lip in disdain. Xinglai, Kai Shan. The distance between the 2 groups shortened to 50 steps. The 2 group leaders faced each other, their sharp gazes clashing in midair like sparks. "It seems you are the special envoy of Qing Village this time," Kai Shan snorted coldly. He had fought Xinglai many times before, that is correct. "Has Bai Village's special envoy arrived yet?" Xinglai's expression was hard as iron. "Why ask so much, follow me." Kai Shan carried a guarded expression, turning slightly to issue the invitation. At the same time, in the second secret chamber, 4 jars of fine wine appeared before Fang Yuan. These fine wines carried 4 flavors: sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy. The sweet was golden honey wine, the spicy was white grain liquid, the sour was Yangmei wine, and the bitter was bitter shell wine. Fang Yuan sat cross-legged on the ground. With a thought, the 2 liquor worms in his aperture flew out. The refinement combination process for the 4 flavors liquor worm was somewhat different from ordinary refinement combination. Under Fang Yuan's will, the 2 liquor worms simultaneously entered the jar of Yangmei wine. In the Yangmei wine, they began attempting to merge. A white halo appeared within the wine jar, and its glow radiated from the mouth of the jar, shining onto the ceiling of the secret chamber. Fang Yuan tossed primeval stones into the wine jar, 1 piece, 10 pieces, 50 pieces. Not until he had thrown in 100 pieces did the halo condense to the size of a fist, floating inside the wine jar. At this time, the Yangmei wine had already been consumed completely. Fang Yuan lifted the second wine jar and poured in the golden honey wine, thick as oil. Under the soaking of the honey wine, the white halo suddenly expanded as before. Sweat seeped from Fang Yuan's forehead. He had to constantly maintain the fusion of the 2 liquor worms' consciousnesses, so he was multitasking, which greatly consumed his mental strength. He continued throwing primeval stones into the wine jar. Each time he threw in a primeval stone, the white halo condensed and shrank a little, until it once again condensed to the size of a fist, reaching its limit. Fang Yuan continued step by step in the same manner, pouring in bitter shell wine and white grain liquid in succession. When all 4 jars of fine wine had been consumed, the white light inside the wine jar suddenly flared, then abruptly dispersed completely. It is done. Fang Yuan did not need to look inside the wine jar to know it had succeeded. With a thought, a Gu worm staggered out from the wine jar. It was precisely the 4 flavors liquor worm. Compared with the liquor worm, its appearance had not changed much. It was only slightly larger than a liquor worm. It still resembled a small silkworm with tiny black eyes. Only the entire body of the liquor worm was milky white, while the body of this 4 flavors liquor worm continuously changed among 4 colors. Red representing spicy, blue representing bitter, green representing sour, and yellow representing sweet. It made Fang Yuan involuntarily think of neon lights on Earth. Fang Yuan let out a long breath. This time his luck was quite good. It had not failed, success came on the first attempt. The fear was that after failure, the liquor worms would be seriously injured, one of them might die. Or the bitter shell wine would be completely used up, then there would be trouble. Fortunately, such a situation did not occur. A Gu master uses Gu, feeds Gu, and refines Gu. None of the 3 aspects is easy. In the area of refinement combining Gu worms, many Gu masters must endure countless hardships to search for secret recipes and gather materials. Different secret recipes existed, but they might not necessarily be suitable. Some Gu masters spent several decades just to gather materials. Even if they found the secret recipe and collected all the materials, if the refinement combination failed and the materials were lost, all their previous efforts and preparation would turn into foam. Gu master cultivation is truly difficult. Fang Yuan sighed deeply in his heart. Refinement combining Gu worms at the early stages of cultivation could still be considered easy. But after rank 4 and rank 5, success was often uncertain even after 10 attempts. The success rate of rank 6 dropped even further to 1%. Each failure in refining a high-ranked Gu worm meant the loss of an enormous amount of resources. However, once it succeeded, the profit was also extremely worthwhile. Take this 4 flavors liquor worm Fang Yuan had just refined. It could refine rank 2 primeval essence and raise it by 1 small stage. Fang Yuan had used a red steel relic Gu to reach middle stage. Now, using the 4 flavors liquor worm, his primeval essence would become upper stage primeval essence. This meant his battle strength would suddenly surge to twice what it had been. And at the same time it could nourish his aperture, making cultivation twice as effective with half the effort. But everything had both advantages and disadvantages. When Fang Yuan used the 4 flavors liquor worm to refine primeval essence, it would inevitably increase his consumption of primeval stones. Relying only on income from selling vitality leaves was no longer enough to steadily sustain his cultivation. Next, I still need to refinement upgrade the hidden stone Gu into the hidden scale Gu. That is another expense. Every refinement combination, whether successful or failed, would consume a sum of primeval stones. Refinement combining, the 4 flavors liquor worm had already consumed more than 400 primeval stones from Fang Yuan. After he drove away the swallowing river toad, the clan rewarded him with 500 primeval stones. That amount of primeval stones was enough for other Gu masters to spend for quite a long period of time, but Fang Yuan had used almost all of it here. Fortunately, earlier he had sold his family assets. And after using more than half to purchase the Red Steel Relic Gu, he still had some money left in hand. In the short term, he did not have too much to worry about. But this hidden scale Gu had to be refined. After Fang Yuan killed the Stone Monkey King, he obtained this hidden stone Gu. But this Gu lacked practical value. It could only make the original body disappear. In other words, when Fang Yuan used it, his body, hair, and the like would vanish, making others unable to see him. But the clothes on his body, the wrist guards, the pointed bamboo shoes on his feet, all would still remain there, visible to the naked eye. The Stone Monkey King naturally did not worry about this. It was a wild beast and needed no clothing. But Fang Yuan would be embarrassed. If he wanted to fully display the hidden stone Gu's best effect and prevent others from seeing anything, he would have to take off all his clothes. If he did not, then even if he became invisible, others would still discover a set of rank 2 Gu master martial robes walking around. The hidden stone Gu was only a rank 1 Gu worm. Once it was raised to the rank 2 hidden scale Gu, this problem would be resolved. The hidden scale Gu could conceal a Gu master's clothing at the same time. If the Stone Monkey King had activated the hidden scale Gu, then even the garment Fang Yuan had thrown over it would have vanished. Had the Stone Monkey King possessed a hidden scale Gu, whether Fang Yuan could have won would still be hard to say. To refinement combine the hidden scale Gu, besides the hidden stone Gu, naturally other materials were required. But these materials were relatively ordinary. Fang Yuan had already entrusted Xianxia with helping him gather them. If I refine the hidden scale Gu successfully, not only will it become much more convenient to enter and leave the cave in the stone crack, but it will also be easier in the wolf tide. With this life-saving method, I can attack when advancing and defend when retreating, Fang Yuan thought. It was already getting late. He took the 4 flavors liquor worm back into his aperture, then left the cave and returned to the village. He had successfully driven away the swallowing river toad, and had momentarily become the focus of everyone's attention. His movements these past few days had not been convenient. Because of this, he was also somewhat worried that remaining too long in this cave would arouse suspicion from others. At the village gate, a contest of strength had just ended. The members of Qing Lai's group stood with arrogant expressions, while Kai Shan's group and the Gu masters guarding the gate all wore grave looks. Qing Lai was not as tall or large as Kai Shan, but at this moment, his gaze held the air of someone looking down from above. Kai Shan, you are indeed born with enormous strength and possess great talent. But I have the brown bear innate strength Gu and have already nurtured 1 bear's strength. You saw the result of our contest just now. You are still no match for me, HMPH. You want the title of Qing Mao Mountain S #1 strongman. Keep dreaming, Xinjiang snorted coldly from the side. Kai Shan's face turned green. He knew the other party had deliberately challenged him, and that this act was full of political intent. Now that he had lost, this was no longer a matter of personal pride. It also affected the reputation of the Gu Yue clan. What is there to be proud of in beating me? You do not know that I am no longer the person with the greatest strength in my clan. If you have the ability to defeat Fang Yuan, then speak. Having no other option, Kai Shan could only bring out Fang Yuan. What Fang Yuan? I heard the Gu Yue clan has an A-grade genius named Fang Zhang. Who is Fang Yuan? Qing Lai asked doubtfully. Kai Shan snorted coldly and replied, Fang Yuan is Fang Zhang's elder brother. He also has unusual talent, born with enormous strength, and also possesses a Gu worm that increases his own strength. The rank 5 swallowing river toad before was pushed away over 100 steps by him using his strength alone. Finally, he drove the swallowing river toad away. If you do not believe it, you may ask around in the village as you please. The expressions of Qing Lai's group could not help changing. Rank 5 swallowing river toad, Fang Yuan. This name was immediately etched deeply into their hearts. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 moonblades as large as wash basins flew out in succession, drawing streaks of light through the air. Crack, crack, crack. In an instant, 16 or 17 jade-eyed stone monkeys died on the spot. The stone monkey pack pursuing Fang Yuan immediately lost half its number. Fang Yuan stood in place. Not only did he not retreat, he raised his right hand again and slashed 3 more times. Another 3 moonblades cut straight into the stone monkey group, scattering a large portion of it. The monkey corpses fell to the ground and turned into stones. Their eyeballs became jade pearls that bounced and rolled over the dark red earth. Fang Yuan checked his aperture once. More than half remained as deep red primeval essence. A moonblade from the Moonlight Gu required 10% pale red primeval essence to activate. If Fang Yuan were still at rank 2 initial stage, he could only fire 4 in succession. At middle stage, that number rose to 8. At upper stage, the number doubled again, increasing to 16. Although Fang Yuan had not truly reached rank 2 upper stage. At this moment, he had upper stage primeval essence, refined by the 4 flavors liquor worm. He could also be considered a pseudo-upper stage Gu master, and his battle strength had surged greatly. Previously, when a pack of 70 or 80 monkeys chased him, he needed to fight while retreating. But now, relying only on moonblade attacks, he could swiftly exterminate most of them, leaving fewer than 10. Moreover, those remaining monkeys had become extremely timid. Only 2 days have passed, yet I have already opened 3 stone pillars. This speed is several times faster than before. If this continues after half a month, I will be able to open the path to the center of the stone forest again. Fang Yuan thought silently. Based on Flower Wine Monk's layout style, the underground cave at the center of the stone forest should be the next trial. Before the trial, there is very likely to be an Earth Treasury Flower Gu. But having reached this step, I estimate that Flower Wine Monk's inheritance does not have much left. After all, he himself was heavily injured, and in an extremely poor state when he hastily arranged this inheritance. The greatest possibility is that there are at most only 1 or 2 trials remaining afterward. With the rich experience of his previous life, Fang Yuan thought of the scene he had seen before on the stone wall Flower Wine Monk covered in blood. Barely breathing and made his judgments. In the end, Flower Wine Monk had arranged this inheritance in too short a time and had no way to do much. But this was only a special kind of inheritance. Normally, inheritances were arranged and designed by Gu masters over years and months. Some were vast in scale and opened only once every dozen years. Some inheritance paths were not even located in a single place, but divided among several locations, spread across rivers and seas, with distances between them as far as the ends of the world. If later generations wanted to inherit such an inheritance, they would need to spend more than 10 years, even decades, searching and undergoing all sorts of trials. For some inheritances, a Gu master might not necessarily find them successfully even until the end of their life, often leaving the unfinished endeavor to their descendants. Flower Wine Monk's inheritance belongs to the small-scale type. Its flaw is that the things inherited are rather sparse. But because of that, it has an advantage. The trials are often arranged by using whatever is available on the spot, so they are relatively simple. From this inheritance, I obtained the White Boar Gu, the Jade Skin Gu, and the Liquor Worm one after another. The Hidden Stone Gu can barely be counted as part of it as well. Next, there are probably only 1 or 2 Earth Treasury flowers left. I hope the Gu worms inside include a Scouting-type Gu worm or a Movement Support-type Gu worm. Time passed by the month. Autumn left and winter returned. At the beginning of winter, the first snow fell. The sky was gloomy. Snowflakes danced and descended upon Qing Mao Mountain. Fang Yuan walked alone through the snow. He had just come out from the cave in the stone crack and was now hurrying back to the village. Counting the time, more than 2 months have passed. Yet the progress in opening the stone forest has still not been satisfactory. Hidden beneath Fang Yuan's eyelids was a trace of gloom. This was not because he had not worked hard, but because the prelude of the wolf tide had already sounded. In winter, with cold wind and little food, wolf packs grew stronger and stronger. To gather more food, they began hunting over a larger range. As a result, the wild beast packs around the wolf den were all swept away. Small beast tides broke out one after another in extreme disorder. At the same time, there were also crippled wolf tides. These crippled wolves had all been eliminated from the wolf den. To survive, they gathered into packs and began wandering around the village, frequently taking action. Although they had not yet reached the point of fiercely attacking the mountain villages, mortal hunters no longer dared go up the mountain to hunt. At the same time, villagers were occasionally dragged away by wolves and killed. Because of this, Gu Yue village mobilized large numbers of Gu masters to carry out extermination. As a result, more people came and went, among them many scouting Gu masters. This forced Fang Yuan to act sensibly, and greatly reduced the number of times he entered the cave in the stone crack. Without question, this caused his speed of advancing through the stone forest to suddenly decrease a great deal. The cold wind howled louder and louder, and the falling snow also grew heavier. Grrrr. Low beast roars suddenly came through the wind and snow. Fang Yuan stopped at once, looking around vigilantly. A small pack of crippled wolves numbering around 20 soon appeared in his field of vision. Again, Fang Yuan muttered. This was already the 8th time he had encountered wolf packs this month. But this time was somewhat different. There are wolf packs moving so close to the village. It seems that, after this, the number of times the clan Gu masters go out will increase even further. The cave in the stone crack is not far from here. For the next few days, I probably cannot go there anymore. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan's heart could not help growing heavy. Every path had its hardships. In this world, there would inevitably be several storms of wind and snow that temporarily blocked everyone's steps. The wolf pack quickly surrounded Fang Yuan. Grrrr, grrrr, grrrr. They growled and pounced toward him, Moonlight Gu. Fang Yuan thought in his heart and swung out a moonblade. The deep blue moonblade cut through the wind and snow, striking several wolves in succession. In the blink of an eye, it killed 3. When it reached the 4th wolf, that wolf suddenly rolled on the ground, cunningly avoiding the moonblade. Although most of these wolves were missing legs or claws, or had blind eyes and broken tails, they had rich combat experience and were extremely crafty. If an ordinary rank 2 middle-stage Gu master encountered such a pack of wolves, especially after being surrounded, their life would surely be threatened. But Fang Yuan faced danger without fear. His rich combat experience and the upper stage deep red primeval essence refined by the 4 flavors liquor worm were both his sources of confidence. Kill, kill, kill. Within the encirclement of the wolves, he moved nimbly, dodged calmly, and struck decisively. Wolf after wolf died at his hands. Before long, the number of wolves in the pack had rapidly fallen by half. Awuo. One wolf released a miserable howl, and the wolf pack immediately stopped attacking and began retreating. This was precisely the cunning of these crippled wolves. Once they discovered that Fang Yuan was a hard bone, they decisively retreated, abandoning their plan to surround and kill him. Although these old, sick and injured wolves were not in their best physical condition, their ability to survive until today also meant they possessed intelligence. Fang Yuan stood where he was, quietly watching this pack of crippled wolves disappear into the wind and snow. His own strength did not need to be displayed if it could be concealed. After confirming that the wolf pack had completely fled, Fang Yuan finally squatted down and hurriedly gathered materials from the wolf corpses. Wolf pelts, wolf fangs, and the like all had value. Although their market prices were relatively low, the quantity made up for it. Over these past 1 or 2 months, Fang Yuan had exterminated crippled wolves and earned a small sum from the spoils. On the snow, the fresh blood flowing from the wolf corpses still carried a little warmth. Some wolves lying on the ground were not dead yet, with a faint glimmer of light still remaining in their eyes. In this natural world, all living things are struggling. Survival is not something humans alone face. This heaven and earth are a vast stage formed from life and death. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly and mercilessly delivered final blows to those wolves with only a thread of breath left. The battle strength of a single crippled wolf was already greater than 2 jadeite stone monkeys. Under the cooperation of a wolf pack, their battle strength would increase severalfold. I can deal with a small crippled wolf pack like this well enough. But if it were a large pack, or if I face a healthy wolf pack later, I fear I will run into trouble. Fang Yuan vaguely felt pressure. Soon the wolf tide will erupt, and the whole clan will be mobilized. Naturally, I will not be able to stay out of it and only care about myself in the future. If I am alone and want to hunt lightning wolves in the wilderness outside, I must have a scouting-type Gu worm or a movement support-type Gu worm. Otherwise, I might die in this wolf tide. The richer one's experience, the more one could perceive one's own shortcomings. After obtaining the 4 flavors liquor worm, Fang Yuan's battle strength had increased dramatically. With the Moonlight Gu and White Jade Gu in his hands, he had both offense and defense. Combined with the accumulation of experience from his previous life, Fang Yuan was absolutely not someone on the level of King Shu, Kai Shan, or Mo Yan. It could be said that he had barely stepped into the ranks of top-ranked 2 Gu masters in the clan. The reason it was barely was because, in the end, he did not possess true upper-stage primeval essence. And his aptitude was only C grade, which was very restrictive. This battle strength was already the best he could achieve at present. But to survive the wolf tide, battle strength was merely one part. Scouting methods are indispensable. If I have a scouting Gu worm, I can sense the approach of a wolf pack early and swiftly leave or change direction. Or I can use a speed-enhancing Gu worm to escape from the wolf pack's encirclement and throw them off, Fang Yuan thought silently. With only one of these 2 types of Gu worms, his chance of survival would greatly increase. If he had both in hand, then he could basically move comfortably. I hope Flower Wine Monk's inheritance contains such a Gu worm. If it does not, it is not a problem, according to my memories. Whenever the wolf tide erupts, the 3 great clans will jointly establish a merit board and sell off stored Gu worms at reduced prices. Among them are many relatively rare Gu worms. At that time, I can even use battle merits to exchange for Gu worms from Bai Village or Qing Village. Fang Yuan calculated in his heart and stood up. After some effort, he swiftly finished dealing with all the spoils, placed them into a bag and carried it on his back. White snow drifted down, and before long it froze the wolf blood and covered the wolf corpses. Look, Fang Yuan is back. The bag on his back. Did he go out hunting wolves? Is he the one who saved our village? HMPH, it was only a coincidence. We already know the process. If I had strength that great, I could do it too. What is so special about that? Fang Yuan entered the village. Along the road, those who encountered him whispered among themselves. Some praised him, some were curious, and others were jealous. Fang Yuan. Kai Shan suddenly appeared at an intersection and called out loudly.